All right, welcome to another edition of, oh my gosh, this is our Fireside Chats, part of Becoming the Person universe. And so when we think about becoming the person, is who do we need to be in order to do the thing that we're always wishing to do? You know, and I have Herb on tonight, and Herb is the epitome of, hey, I get to take action, I get stuff done, and I can help you become that person. So many times, Herb, I don't know if you can remember times in your life, but I bet you can remember at least one where we try to have something and we haven't become the person that should be having the thing that we did. You know, I usually tell a story of, you know, hey, when I went and bought this car that I really couldn't afford, and you know, they gave me payments on it, and I'm driving around in this BMW and I'm waving at people, and you know, and I don't have hardly a job that can afford to pay for it. And I just say, I just got to do. I got to do all this stuff. And if I do all this stuff, I'll get to keep having it. I still hadn't become the person that deserved it yet because I didn't know what to do. I hadn't become the person who had figured out how to earn the money or make the money to be able to do that. But it's in all walks of life. I think of some of the, you know, in my early days and, you know, some of the girls that I wanted to date, right? And I haven't been on, and I go look and, you know, they're way above my league. Plus they want more than I could give them, right? So that was the big thing. I don't know, you know, I could go swoon them and say, hey, man, you know, maybe then I take them over to my little Volkswagen and they look at me like, oh no, I'm not getting in that car. I know you from Detroit, so you didn't do no Volkswagen, but maybe you had a Plymouth or something like that you say. But that, I mean, it's kind of part of our life is, you know, I think a be, do, have, and do everything I can to become that person. And then I know you've had several interns and folks that you've worked with that they show up and they haven't had those experiences yet. And then they think that they're going to run the world, which is great. I don't have any problem with ambition. It's just, I guess the foolishness of ambition to me is I'm not going to go find somebody who has done it before to help me get through it. I'm just going to figure it out myself. And it doesn't usually work that way. And so, Herb, thank you for being on today. Thank you for us being able to have this chat and this time. And we're going to spend some time just chopping it up about what does it take? And then what are some of the opportunities that are available? That's the other part is there's so many opportunities out there, and we keep trying to do things the old way. We keep trying to do things like figuring out, you know, how we're going to do some stuff that might not even exist anymore. You know, I sometimes I go to the airport and I see those shoe shine guys every now and then. And that's not the opportunity of the future, is shining shoes. I mean, there might be some people who are doing it, but I can remember my dad used to tell me taking out a wooden box and heading downtown and could spend all day and make $5, $10 or whatever it was, shining some shoes because everybody wanted their shoes signed. Now we just go into the kitchen and rub some magic wand stuff on it, and it's clean. So thank you for being on. Kind of just tell us what you do, where you're from, how you do it, and then we'll just keep talking about how to help folks can become successful.
Thank you so much, Dr. B. And I'd like to tell you that what you said is true. You know, I remember when we cashed out the proceeds from the casino, we had about 66 people made $1 million or more.
Wow.
And we had about 100 investors altogether. But I remember about a year later, about 30 of them didn't have any money. And they never had money. I mean, if you've never been rich, you don't know how to be rich. I mean, in other words, you go crazy. I mean, they spent the money.
Yeah.
It was an amazing thing, you know what I mean? In real estate, you know, if you buy real estate, it ain't so easy to spend the money. You lock that cash up, buddy. You know, and the secret about real estate, it's the easiest business, I think, to get in. And look, some people want to say they want to go into business. I tell you, a job. You want a job? You want to run a restaurant? What do you want to do? You want to run a nursery school? You want to run a store? I mean, that's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
Now, real estate is an investment. I buy me 100 units that I can finance a hell of a lot easier than a business. You can automatically finance almost any deal right now, and I'll tell you why. But the ideal is that you can finance it. You can borrow money on it. And the business is very, very tough. And then you get you a business and you got to actually put yourself that you got to work like a dog. No way, man. I'm just not going to do it. Look, as an alternative, if you buy real estate, you still got to work, but managing real estate is not the same as running a restaurant or a business, because you're going to get you a resident manager and a maintenance guy. You know, you could be in Florida, you could be in Europe, you could be all over the place. It's a lifestyle. It's an investment. I'll do an investment, but I'm not interested in getting me another job that I'm going to be anchored down to every day. I got employees 30%. I got cost of sales 30%. I got advertising. I got paid. No way. Now, everybody, if you have a burning desire to do something, then do it, because God put that in your soul. But Brian, you know what? One of the things I like to talk to all of the young people that are like me. You know, when I was young, at 19, I got involved, and I got involved because I had a burning desire. And here's what I like to tell everybody. If you have not gotten into trouble, you probably won't be able to make it. You need a challenge in your life, and you need to overcome that challenge. Challenges are very, 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 very important. And me, I had plenty of challenges. I had bumps all over my face. I stuttered. I got set outdoors. I was very poor. It was awful, man. It was just absolutely awful. I had to work at the Chevrolet factory full time while I was in high school. Can you imagine that? We had no money. So, I mean, but guess what this challenge did? It gave me a burning desire to be wealthy. And that's what the important thing is. Give me anybody with a burning desire, and it's going to happen. Because you're going to do what it is. You're going to learn what you need and do what you're going to pull the trigger. And the good message to everybody that would listen to me is this. Here's a magic secret in the real estate right now. You know, it's so interesting because it takes so many different forms. Right now, interest rates are high. Traditionally, they're not really high, but they're higher than what they've been for the last 7 or 8 years, because they've been very, very low. They've been extremely low. So rates have went up, they doubled almost, and it wiped a lot of people out of business now, a lot of bankruptcies. Because if people bought at 3 and going to flip, and interest rate doubled, they can't flip. They cannot flip because the debt service went so high, you can't borrow enough money to even come out. So, but one of the things that's very important that listeners should know is that on a regular apartment building now, rents have went up 50% in the last 3 or 4 years. 50%. Wow. And an apartment that was $1,000 is $1,500 now.
Wow.
Post-COVID, rents have quadrupled. They jumped, but no landlord could take and raise his rent that high. Think about it. A landlord couldn't take his rent and say, I'm going to take everybody up to the $1,500. Well, he'll wipe out his building. He'll wipe his building completely out if he actually took everybody to $1,500. He could take them maybe $100 increase, a $75 increase. It may take him 3 or 4 years to get to the $1,500. Now, a new tenant coming in to pay the $1,500. But here's the point. Here's the point. You got all of these tenants that's at current rents, and they're not at market. Now, there are some tenants at market. What do you think the appraiser is going to use, market or current rents?
They're going to use market.
They're going to use market. If they use market, you can buy it. Because look here, the seller can't sell for market rents, and he's way down at 1,100. You run the numbers. What do you want? The secret is very good. You run the numbers. A person understands how to run the numbers. They can buy any deal almost. They run the numbers, or what we call a pro forma. It's the income and expenses, show you what the net income is. And then you start playing with it. Like, I got 50 ways to buy real estate. Now you get to a net operating income. What are some of these ways you can buy real estate, Herb? Today I did a deal, a beautiful 8-unit building. And you know what they did? They just joined the LLC. They joined the LLC. And then that does not uncap property taxes. we have uncapped taxes is a major issue in the country.
Mm-hmm,
If you buy a property, your new tax bill is a lot different than your old one. And the property taxes are so gigantic, you don't want to uncap them. Now, if you buy more than 50%, you uncap. So buy less. So look at how smart I put this deal together. I had somebody come in and buy 10% of the deal. They want the deal, they bought 10%, but they took a 90% disproportionate allocation of profits and losses. Woo! They bought 10%. So the seller, and they're going to refinance and put a mortgage on it. So the seller get all of their money just from the mortgage proceeds. But the seller is there, got this 90% they're carrying because they don't want to pay taxes on it. So they only sold 10%. So the 90% that they're carrying, they got Uncle Sam's money. They got their cash. They don't have to pay taxes because you don't pay taxes on borrowed money. They're still in the deal. They refinanced. They only bought 10%. So this person got federal IRS money they're using. They don't want them to pay them out because they got a tax bill of $40,000. They got a $10,000 receivable. They owe Uncle Sam 40 if they got cashed out. So they can just sit right there. I mean, this is
so they're just sitting on they're loaning out the money that they're just sitting on, but they don't have, because it's borrowed money, they don't have to do it. Now the borrower who are buying it, I guess the person who's buying the building. So let's say it's $1 million building. They're buying it at $100,000. So do they have to have, the person buying it has to have the $100,000 cash to be able to buy it? Because I think that's a lot of the reasons people think that they can't get into real estate, because they have to have a whole bunch to be able to do anything with it. So, so walk me through that a little bit.
Okay, so it's going to be an LLC. Almost all the real estate is going to be not an individual name. So what they're going to do is join the LLC.
Okay.
And the seller could say, okay, you could join the LLC and just get a mortgage and cash me out. Don't cost you a penny. Now, if you join me and you can't get the mortgage, we're going to unwind you and take you out the deal. Now, the deal I got now, the person is putting down 25 grand and they're joining. They're putting down 25, they now own it. So they're going to the bank as an owner. They're going to the bank as a borrower and not a buyer. A buyer needs money down. A borrower, I own it already, right? So I'm going to go to the bank as an owner and just go in and join the entities and go to the bank. How about if you don't have a lot of money? Structure the deal. If you structure the deal, went to the bank, got the financing, but they want someone with a balance sheet, who wouldn't sign the name? You said, come say, hey, buddy, look here, sign this name and we'll split 50-50. He said, well, let me look at it. He said, oh, man, this is gorgeous. I can buy this with no money? Yeah. Are you sure? Yes. He said, okay, I'll do it. Now, they signed the name. Mm-hmm. And whoever put the deal together gets 50% of the deal. But let's say their credit is really bad, or they're in bankruptcy, or a divorce, or they have a tax lien, or some reason that they should not be in the entity that's going to be borrowing the money because they'll screw the deal up. They can take what you call a convertible participating promissory note. And they can use the membership interest in the LLC as collateral. Oh, this is a beautiful deal. So here they do. They found the deal. They found an investor, put the investor in the deal, split the profits with it, and had a right to take, and had a right to convert and own 50%, or have a right to convert and take the investor out and own 100%. They can make a killing just finding deals, structuring deals, and putting people in deals, and they couldn't borrow one penny themselves. It's all up here. And the reason you have to go through this, when I did my first deal, I did 190 units. Said 17150 Myers Road, M-E-Y-E-R, 190 units. I was 26 then.
Okay.
Had not a dime. I had no money, no credit card. I had a 65 Ford convertible, but the back windows were out.
Oh, gosh.
I'm telling you, you don't have to have cash. You got to have the knowledge, though, because if you got the knowledge, you got it. And you know, if you put your money down on a deal, You ain't got your money no more.
No, because it's the bank's got it, right?
Yeah, or the seller. You got to use your money for decorating purposes only. You decorate your balance sheet. Don't ever put it down. Now, sometimes you got to put some money down temporarily to tie something up. Or you may do a temporary land contract and put the money down. Now let's put it like this. Let's say somebody won 100 grand and they say they'll take 10 grand or 20 grand down on a land contract, or the seller will hold the paper. Let's say that. Here's the model you do that. You always say to a seller, do you care how I do this, long as I get you your money? And you got to get an answer, because you got to ask them, do you care how I do this deal, as long as I get you the price we agreed on? And most sellers say, I don't care, as long as it's legal and ethical. Okay, fine.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay? So once you agree that is it, this is when you start. And there are several different ways that you could put the deal together. But the first thing you got to do is agree that you can do the deal anyway, long as that he get his money. And they agree with that. Then you got about 5 different ways to put the deal together. One of those ways, as I indicated, you could simply just join the partnership, and you could go to the bank as a co-owner with them.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a structured purchase agreement and take back credits. The credits you take back for closing costs, the banks will allow the seller to always pay closing costs. FHA and everybody else allows it. But here's the deal. You can take back improvements, but you cannot put in the purchase agreement that you're going to do the improvements, because the FHA will make you do what you call a 203K. In other words, you have to put the money in an escrow and have a contractor and get some bids and all of that stuff. But if you tell the seller to carry, that the seller is responsible, then let the seller be responsible. And after you are approved to close, you can sign an addendum, and the seller gives you the money. And therefore, you walk away from an FHA transaction with cash in your hands. Now, I just told you free.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done it at least 30 times.
Wow.
And even when I explain it to FHA, they agree. Because here's the thing you have to understand. Once the buyer is approved and you're ready to go, that's the seller's money. That's what FHA said to me. They said, well, that's the seller's money. We can't tell you. The buyer is approved to close and this deal is approved. The seller get X number of dollars. Now, if the seller turn around and give the buyer some of that money, for some reason, for improvements, that's the seller. But it shocked me, because I accidentally found out about it. Because I sold a house and the buyer came back and wanted some credits, and I told him no. And then I agreed to go ahead and do it. And I said, let's put it up in escrow because you got to do the work. They asked FHA. The FHA said, no, we don't want it. That's the seller's money. We don't care. And it was a lot of money. The sale was $134,000 and the credit was $18,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's a huge credit. And so once I figured that out, then I just kept doing it like that. I mean, it's an easy deal to do. Now, what is very important here is intent. What is your intent? Not to steal money, but your intent is to do your improvements and to make sure that your house is improved. And if there are no repairs, then FHA don't really get involved. There are no repairs. Improvements, no, that's different now.
That's different than a repair. Yeah.
Yeah, because repair, you got to do the repair to close, right?
Yeah, because if the house is falling down, they're not going to let you move into a house that, you go into some of these folks' house, they took the door out, or they, you walk out on the porch and you're about to fall through into the ground. So that stuff's got to be done. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's put it like this. If the basement looked like a basement, they don't give a shit. You might want to take and lay your basement out. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't lay out basements like we used to do in the olden days, but they go in and they want to put a barn out in, recessed lighting. FHA doesn't require that. You know what I mean? But you could tell a seller to do it. Say, Mr. Seller, I want you to do all the repairs, reasonable request repairs that the lender, the appraiser, the city, or the buyer requests. And use a word like all reasonable and necessary repairs or improvements. Put them both in there. Yeah. Repairs or improvements that you request. And so you go in there and we question. The seller say, I want 100 grand. You want 100 grand? I tell you what, I'll give you 130,000. Once you agree and the seller agree on what he get, then you take the price up, 130,000. Now, how do you know? Is it worth 100 or it's worth 130? What will the appraiser say? You know what the appraiser will say? If you sold it for 100, he says it's worth 100. It's 130, it's worth 130. If it's worth 170, he says it's too high. As long as you stay within like a certain amount, you're okay. If you go crazy,
then
no.
It's not going to, yeah.
You know, take the highest comp and go about 10% over it. No more than 10% of the highest comp. And you can always buy what Zillow said it's worth, because that's history. That's history. You're going forward and you're creating the value. Now, you could simply increase the price and put a mortgage on for the whole thing. Now, that's okay if you do an income property, but not necessarily on your house that you got to pay back yourself.
And then your house, living in, yeah.
I mean, in other words, and when you're going to buy a house, please make sure your first house is always an income property.
Okay.
Always. Because if you bought the income property first, it pays your note.
Income to proof, yeah.
And then when you move out and go buy your house, that duplex pays your house note.
Yeah. I want to back up a little bit, because we are talking about some concepts right now that most people, you just blowing their mind. And in a lot of, especially in our culture, right? I don't know what it's like in Detroit, but here in Denver, Colorado, they are building apartment after apartment after apartment after apartment. And you just see all these folks that are going, I can't get into a house. I can't afford a house. Interest rates are high. I can't own anything. And they're happy because they put some granite countertops on these apartments and they think they live in luxury, right? It's a simple apartment in a simple area. They throw some granite on there and all of a sudden I'm in a luxury apartment. But we have to start changing this mindset that we can't have, or we can't start ownership. You just brought up, hey, my first place that I'm buying isn't for me to go live in luxury. It's for me to have income. So then when I do go in to get my place, that my place is being paid for by that income property that I just purchased, not an apartment complex. Now, if I go buy the income property that I'm winning, I'll throw some granite countertops on top if you want to feel like you're in luxury. But at the same time, how do we get this mindset that we're capable of doing what you're talking about instead of just believing we're not enough and I just keep going to rent?
Well, Brad, it's not unreasonable to assume that someone cannot go out and buy $1 million building like that. I mean, people say, well, how much it costs? You got to have 200 grand. I ain't got no $200,000. I mean, it's understandable that it'd be hard to believe you could do it.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, and most people wouldn't try because they just wouldn't believe you could do it. They don't understand. Now, you got to have someone what we call deep pockets, or you're not going to get there. You know that I tell people, if you go to church, some of those trustees, they got deep pockets. They knew your grandmother, when you were born. So, but you got people that you got to have a partner, and you could get people, you could take and advertise a building and get a partner, but you could advertise something for sale for the purpose of getting you an investor. You understand? And you can describe it in such a way and joint venture partner, you can get what you need. You got to believe it, and it's hard to believe unless you can see it, unless you really believe it. You say, really? You tell me I can buy this. So let's say we start off with something for $250.
Okay.
And we do it through NACA, N-A-C-A. NACA is no money down, no closing costs, and no credit score. It doesn't get better than that.
No.
So buy you a 2-flat and have that experience and have that cash flow coming in. You say, oh man, and dig this. See, what happened is that you may look at it and say, I like this and it's a good deal. So you do a wholesale, but you're the buyer. You get somebody to carry your water and flip it to you. Now that flip profits is your profit. Then you're going to give them some money for carrying it. And you're going to do it in a way that's legal, because what you're going to do is take back all of these credits at the end of the day. And when you finish with your credits, you're going to have that much money left. And that's how much you get for carrying your water. Because FHA will allow a 15% flip. If something costs 100, you get your wholesaler in there, tied up for 100, they can sell it to you for 115,000. 15% is the maximum.
Okay.
And they will allow it. Just think about that. So you bought it for 115. So you're going to buy this guy for 115. So you're going to buy it from him for 135, and you're going to take credits back. But I mean, in other words, the seller's not getting but 100, but you got a lot of cash, and you could borrow 96.5%. You could walk away literally from the table for like 20 grand or so. Do it on a small basis. You know, join us. Let us hold your hand and show you. We've closed $2 billion in deals. Now that's a lot of deals.
That's a heck of a lot of deals. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we've closed $2 billion in deals without putting down any money but one time. And I hate I put the money down. I hate I put that money down. You understand? $
2 billion and put down money one time.
How about if we could convince our people about this, Doc?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how about if they really believed that we could convince them? You know what I would love to do? I would love for you to get all of your constituents and let them know that we're going to host this thing, and give me a half an hour with them. But here's the deal. They got to bring their kid. I mean, I want a young person in it. I want them to look like me too, Doc. Doc, actually, I want them to look more like me than like you, okay?
Okay. I hear what you're saying.
Okay, now listen, Doc, because a lot of people have been leveraged, you know, you're in the back of the class. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a tough thing. And this Trumpism, depressing our egos and stuff. Look, there are people, look, man, they put me in the back of the class. A little dark black, but get your butt back there. My last name was S, so it was alphabetical too. It was tough on me, man. And I had a C minus. On a very good day, I had a C minus. It's usually around the Hoover to D, C minus to a D. I don't think I ever got an A in anything. I'm sure I didn't. I'm not going to tell you no lie. So if I could encourage, if I could show them, and they say I could get rich. I want to tell you this, man. This was very emotional for me. So I graduated as class president, but I didn't have the grades to go to Michigan or Harvard. I couldn't go any college.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up going to a community college. But dig this. I was at Chevrolet Gear & Axle. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning because I worked midnights, and I was on this bullet machine, and I was the thing. And so anyway, I got emotional because I said my colleagues that's going to University of Michigan State, they're getting out to bed now because they got to be up there, and it's going to take them 2 hours to drive. And they got to be there at 9:30. I'm thinking about they're going off to college. And I started crying, man. And you know what I said? I said, when they get out of college, man, I'm going to be rich. That's all I knew. I want to tell you something. When they got out of college, I was rich.
Wow. Because you couldn't go. They wouldn't let you go.
Kids like this too, man. I want to explain it to them. You could do it. I'll show you how to do it. Turn your kids over to me and get out the way if you're scared.
Yeah. So when you talk about having a young person there, are you looking at like that 17 to 24, 17 to 30 of kids that are saying, wait a minute, I don't know if I can make it here. They're playing video games, right, all day long. They don't believe they're enough. They don't believe they can make it. You know, I heard like this Gen Z world was like, is that 15 to 30 group is having their parents go to job interviews with them. Like Forbes magazine said 1 out of 4 of them are having mom and dad take them to a job interview because they don't know how to communicate. Because they're just used to doing this and playing games. And what you're saying is, let me show you how they can use this. Because they're smart, they just might not know how to communicate well. You're going to teach them how to do the numbers because they said, well, I failed in math. Well, you're not asking them to do geometry and algebra and calculus. asking them to do basic math, but showing them a structure where they say, well, I don't have any money. And you're saying, well, you don't need any money. They're saying, but I don't have, but their parents might have something. If the parents are going to job interview, parents must have something. They just want to get them out of their basement. Oh my gosh. And so you're saying, I'm going to walk you through step by step. I'm going to hold your hand while we do it. And then you're going to make it out. Now, you did mention that you need to have somebody with some deep pockets. Grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, auntie, uncle. When you say deep pockets, I think the first thing that a young person is going to say, because they're comparing it to that, rapper that they know, that it makes millions and millions of dollars. They're thinking, well, my mama has to have $1 million to be able to help me with this. What are you saying like their deep pockets need to look like?
Okay. I'm saying you got to get rich before you get rich, or you'll never get rich.
Okay, you got to get rich before you get rich, or you'll never get rich. Okay, I got that.
You get rich before you get rich. Now, when somebody joins us, they give us what you call a personal financial statement. And let's say they don't have any money on their personal financial. We'll loan them money.
Okay.
We'll loan them up to $50,000 for a day or two.
Yeah, you got to get it. Yeah.
Let me explain to you what they're going to do. They're going to put that money in a credit union account.
Okay.
And then they're going to open up two accounts, a personal account and a business account, a LLC and a personal account. So they put the money in their personal account, but they allow the money to be pledged and used as collateral for the LLC to borrow the money out and give me my money back.
Okay.
Now, when all the smoke clears, they got $50,000 in their name that they can't do nothing with because it's collateralized.
Mm-hmm.
LLC got it as collateral. The bank ain't gonna let them take that money out.
None of it. Yeah.
They got it in their name, decorating their balance sheet. And in the meantime, the LLC got the loan, the liability in its name, not the asset, but the liability. But at least it's building credit. And that's what the LLC needs to do, is build its credit. Okay. Now, what you don't want is for you or whoever the borrower is to sign that loan, because it'll screw up your credit. Let the LLC sign it, but the bank is going to want your signature too, even though
they want everything personalized. Yeah.
Even though it's 100% collateralized, they still want your signature. So here's what you do. You give them your signature, but you do it in what you call a pocket guarantee. That means they just put it in the file. And long as you don't default, they will never give it to the credit reporting agencies. Because if they told them that you owed that $50,000, it'll pull your credit report score right down.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be all, and we've done it before. And we did it with a whole group of people. We had about 12 or 15 people we did that, and it pulled everybody's score down. So you know what? We know what we're talking about. We're experts now. We've done this more than 100 times. So I can make you rich. I'll make anybody. When I finish with you, to say, wow. In other words, get ready psychologically. Like if you got that money in your bank like that, then you really believe it. You see, you rich in your head. I mean, and it's reality. You say, no, I got $50,000. And dig this. If it's, let's say you do $10,000 with not public service credit union, but with a Navy Federal, guess what? They will release it if after 6 months, if you pay as agreed.
Wow. How much is somebody paying on $50,000?
2%.
Okay.
Over and above what the bank pays them. So they pay $1,000. Let's say if the bank pays them 2%, then they're going to pay 4%, but their net is going to be 2%.
Okay.
Because the bank is paying them, right? The bank is paying them interest. So, I mean, so I can sit here and deal after deal to tell you how to do the deal without making it and structured it right. Like I was explaining to that, if you were going to buy a deal on land contract, you put 10 or 20 down, you jack that price up to 130 or 140 with 20 down. So you owe them instead of let's say you're going to buy $100,000 and you're going to put 10 grand down. So 100 grand, you put 10 down, you have a $90,000 seller note, seller held mortgage or land contract, however you want to say it. Now, you go to my school, we'll jack that bad boy up to 130,000. And then you put the 10 down and you got $120,000 that you owe the seller. And when you pay the seller off, provided that you pay them off early, it could be one day, it don't matter. And no defaults, you get a $30,000 discount. Now, isn't that some sweet stuff? Because I want to tell you something. You cannot, the bank is not going to give you any extra money to take out and put in your pocket. No, but you have it built in the discount. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. They don't know. Yeah. Now, and you don't want that language in the note. You want that language in a separate document. It can even be in the original purchase agreement and said it will survive the closing. Because a purchase agreement dies at the time of closing. It's a preliminary agreement. But if you write in there, this survives the closing, then nobody ever sees it. And nobody ever knows you have that discount because it's not written anywhere but on the original purchase agreement. And nobody never asks for that later. It's in the original purchase agreement. So, I mean, some of these things is just practical. You don't know if they're going to work unless you did it. Let me ask you a question, Brian. Let's say you got $5,000 in a checking account. Okay? And you want to buy a building. I say, okay, Brian, give me a $20,000. Give me an earnest money deposit for 20 grand out that checking account you got.
Well, I only got 5.
Okay, huh?
But you said I only got 5.
You got 5 grand in it. Now, wait a minute. You're going to give me a check for 20 grand. Now, on our deal that we got, you got a 20 grand credit coming back, okay? Let's just say you got a credit coming back. So you give me 20. It says 150. But you got a 20 grand credit coming back. So your real price is 130. But you give me a $20,000 earnest money deposit because you got to put a deposit down on real estate.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it, that check, and I'm going to sign the back of it and give it back to you. I'm going to take the check that you give me and I'm going to sign the back and I'm going to give you back the check. I want to ask you a question. And you take that check and you put it back in that checking account because the bankers want to know where's your deposit. And if that check clears, they can see. But you only got 5 grand in that checking account. And the check is 20. Wait a minute. No, you got 5 grand in the account. And you wrote me a check for 20. I signed the back of the check and gave it back to you. And you go deposit that into your account. Is it going to clear, yes or no?
Well, it can't clear because there's not money in there. Unless it's coming, because it's not coming from your account. So my thought would be it's not going to clear. You're getting ready to tell me how it is going to clear. So yeah, I only got 5 grand in my check. It doesn't make sense.
They're going to. It definitely clears. It will clear under all circumstances. I'll tell you why. You know why?
I don't know.
Because the first thing they do is the credits first before they do the debits. So if you got 5,000 in your account, now you got 25,000 in your account. Because it was a $20,000 check. It's a credit. Now guess what? Then they do the debits. And that $20,000 check is coming right back out. You back down to 5 grand again. See, you were famous for about 30 seconds.
Gotcha. Okay. So I had
5 grand. Now you got 25 in. Boom, they took it out. Boom, I'm back down to 5. Do you hear what I said? Now, can you imagine somebody who never done that, tried that? They won't know if I'm lying or not. They'd be scared to try it.
Yeah.
And if they're in my class, I'll tell them you are going to do it. Write the check. They say, you sure could? I'm the coach. Write the check. They say, okay. They be, okay, I'll do it. I hope this works. I mean, I'll tell them to do several things like that. Just do this. Just do it. Just do it.
Gotcha.
That's how I've done it many times. I want to tell you a really funny joke.
Okay.
I once I had an account at the branch. It was Comerica Bank. And it just so happened that they were opening another branch, and I wanted to deposit this. I wanted to do one of these deposits into this account. So I made the deposit. I didn't have no money in the account. But here was the problem. I didn't realize I didn't have any money. It had a negative $10 or $15 in it.
Oh, wow.
And I went back and I put a $2,500 check in a negative account. So the next morning, I got a call from my bank manager, wanted to know what in the hell am I doing? Mm-hmm. And he says, Herb, do not go to other banks and do that. Now you could come here and do that, but don't do that again. I said, okay, thank you. Now, the only reason they objected because it was negative. They said, what the shit is this? Who is this guy? You negative 10 in your account and you put 2,500 in. Now you're really negative.
You're negative that and that, yeah.
But guess what? They cleared the check.
No way. Even though it's negative, they cleared it. You still went back to negative. Wow, because they do the credit first, then they do the
right.
They take out.
Yeah. Because I mean, if you got $2,500 in your bank account, and there was a check came through for $2,510, they'll probably cash it and let you go under 10 if you got a decent relationship. They won't bounce it if it's that little. You know, if it's $500, they definitely bounce it. But if it's $5 or $10, they may let you go negative. But but nobody would dare do anything like that. They say, I ain't doing nothing like that. You're crazy. They ain't gonna do that. And you know they would say that, and you would too, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
But if I'm the coach and I say, look, I'm going to get you rich quick. I said, look, we're in the jungle, man, and you're going to get bitten and eaten alive. You got to follow me. You got to do exactly what I say. Follow me close. And I get us to the road home because I'm the coach. I know the jungle. I know I go here, take a left, here, boom, boom, bam. But don't you dare try this shit by yourself. Excuse the language. I didn't mean to cuss. You understand what I mean? Now, if you want to just go put your money down on the regular deal, yeah, go do that. You don't need me. Hell.
Everybody does that, right? That's how everybody does it.
I'm not even interested in that.
Yeah.
It ain't no fun.
Right, so what's the lesson in putting the money in? Why are we putting this money in? Don't have an account that has 2,500 in it or 25,000 in it for 30 seconds and it's back down to 5,000. Why are we doing that?
Your down payment.
Okay.
Look, you can prove that the check cleared. You can prove the check cleared.
Gotcha. Because you're helping. Okay, I'm with you there. So there's a down payment. It's there. It's not really sitting in the escrow account because it came right back out your bank, but you showed that you had a down payment. Now what happens after that? What's the next step that goes through I don't want you to give your whole class. I want people to sign up for the class.
I mean, listen here. No, I'm not trying to hold back information. You can say, man, you got to actually tell people the secrets. Well, how are you going to get paid? No. I'm in good shape, buddy.
Yeah.
Listen, but somebody shouldn't grab it and go off like they call it the dodo bird that went out of existence. He didn't have enough information. You understand what I mean?
Absolutely.
In other words, I tell you, man, a guy came to my class and he just questioned me so much. I mean, he had me in the corner just over. I said, look, just come in and see me. He didn't. He came in 2 months later, man, about a month later. I'll tell you what happened. It was a pastor, and he had just married a young lady, 44 years old. He was about 60. The gentleman had just lost his house under foreclosure, and he came in because I told him I could help him. He brought it in, but he was 1 day late. The house went for 30% of what the mortgage was. And his neighbor next door bought the house. And he
his neighbor did it. Oh, gosh.
And I told him, he said, that's my neighbor. I said, you could have bought your own house, man. I said, because his wife had excellent credit. She could have put a mortgage on. He went and filed bankruptcy, though, like an idiot. And guess what? He took his wife and filed her bankruptcy too. I looked at him. I said, well, why did you get her into bankruptcy? She looked at him. I thought I'd just back off there because she was about ready to kill his ass.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, really, man. I mean, it was the stupidest thing. So what I'm trying to tell everybody is get the knowledge first. If you went to college to learn how to do it, do you think you're going to go and do the job without learning how to do it? Can you imagine? You go to college, you learn how to do it. Now I'm going to teach you how to leverage real estate. That means to leverage it. Take the asset and borrow against it and buy it without putting up money. And do it again. Buy it. And just do it again and buy it. Just keep doing it. I've done $2 billion. And I'll tell everybody how to do it, but I don't want to tell everybody. I want to tell my people.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. So go back to when you were 26 and you buy 190 units. That's not just one building. That's like several buildings.
That's one building.
Huge building. One building had 190 units in it. How many floors was it?
It was just 2 stories. Here, but dig this. That was December the 5th. And dig this. Every month I bought one building on the 5th of every month. So in March, I bought 377 units. It was called Votrebeck Estates. I bought 1,200 units that one year alone. At 26, I bought 1,100 and something units. And you could do it. I could guarantee you could do it. I guarantee you could do it. And I can tell you exactly how I did it. I tell you how I financed. I can tell you everything, and I'll tell everybody. Now listen, back then we had what you call land contracts, seller held paper. So I went to a guy, that had a bunch of money because I approached him to buy his property, and he loved my route. And he said, I like this guy. So when I got a deal, I came back. His name is Charles Grenadier. I went to him and I said, hey, Charlie. So I presented him an offer, and the offer was this. These guys wanted $200,000 down. I got the bank to say, if I got them $100,000 deposit, plus gave them a security interest in the real estate, that they would loan the $200,000. And I got them a big time signature. Well, a guy got a $10 million. He had money. So he put the $100,000 up and bought him a CD. And we used that as collateral. And we took an assignment of land contract as collateral. And the rent was about $100, $150 off. The rent back then was $145 for a 1-bedroom, and it should have been $245. So it was $100 off. So instead of collecting $30,000 a month, I jacked it up. It was like getting $40,000 a month in a matter of a few months. Now, so I own half the deal, and he owned half. He put the money up. He's getting full interest on his CD in the bank. The mortgage is being paid I'm paying the mortgage from the cash flow, and the depreciation was off the hook. Back then, it was a 50% tax bracket. Now, this deal was $2 million. So it's 50% tax bracket. We call it double declining depreciation. You could write off about 8 to 10% a year for the first 5 years or so, and then it got lower. So he was writing off $200,000 a year in depreciation because I gave him the depreciation for putting the money up. I didn't have no money. I didn't need it. So I said, you take the depreciation. He was getting 100% return because he was in the 50% tax bracket. So he was saving $100,000 a year, and he really didn't make any investment. His money was in the bank. And guess what? I did that 13 times with him and another group. The exact same thing.
Wow. And so you're collecting, and now are you trying to run, you didn't buy yourself a job? It sounds like you running 1,100 units, or you're managing the 100 units. You've got property managers, or what did you do?
Oh, yeah. I set up a management company and ran it. See, I'm not a great property manager. I'm a creative guy. I'm not the mechanic.
Yeah.
But I got a sharp property manager. It was a lady, she would kick your butt. She was sharp, man. I mean, and she ran it. She had the checkbooks and everything, and she was very honest with me. So, I mean, in other words, it was a good life. You got to have a good team. But what I'm looking for doing my 50th year is this. I want 50 people to join me. And if
Okay.
someone called and they say from Dr. Brian, they from you, Doc.
Okay.
And look, I don't want 40 now, I want 50. And we have a challenge, our 50th challenge. And you got to do a deal without putting up cash, and you go on a cruise. I give you a ticket to cruise at the end of the year. At the end of 2026, we're going to go on a cruise. And it's going to be an intergenerational wealth cruise, and it's everybody that closed the deal and made $1 million. So close a deal without cash and cruise free and talk static.
I just want to repeat what you said. In order to do this, you have to buy a building without cash. You can't go cheat. You can't go find, some money and sneak it in there. We want to show you how to buy a building without cash. Then we're going to make the $1 million on it, and we're going to send you on a cruise for being able to do it. And all you're asking these 50 people to do is be coached and do what you ask them to do.
Well, they got to pay their tuition. It's $2,500 too now.
So for $2,500,
that's about the cheapest one of all. It's $50 a week. Very cheap.
Yeah,
you know
no. $2,500 is nothing to be able to be in a class, 50 people that are going to learn how to buy a building. Now, the building that they're buying, does it have to be in the city or the place that they live in? Can it be anywhere in the country? What you're going to show them?
They find the building. I'm not finding the building.
Okay.
They got to find the building now. I'm not trying to sell somebody something. No, I'm not hustling people. You go find the building, and you find it where you live, work, play, or pray. Where you live, work, pray, or play, and nowhere else. And if you buy out of town, have boots on the ground. Like if somebody said, Coach, I want to buy Detroit, that's a great thing to buy here. I'm on the ground. And a whole bunch of my students buy here, and they've done very well.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And so I'm blown away that you're just telling folks this is what you do. So what is the timeline? If I'm sending this out and telling people and they're watching this, what is our timeline in order to get into this class? Is it starting at the beginning of the year? Okay. No,
let me tell you what's going on. So we're recruiting on Thursdays, and it's free. Like the night was Thursday. And we had a PowerPoint, and it was showing you how to do a BYO, be your own bank, we call it. You understand?
Okay.
But on Saturdays is our class. And we're having a class, like our first class is this Saturday, and we're going to have one more class. We're going to have two classes. Our class really kicks off February the 7th. So between now and February, we're going to take and have free Thursdays. So we want your people to go to Strather Academy, Herb Strather, stratheracademy.com, and register. Okay. Strather Academy, and they're my guests. They're your guests.
Okay.
Okay? And they get good treatment. They can tell Dr.
Strather Academy, you're doing it. Are you doing it on Zoom or what?
On Zoom.
Okay.
On Zoom. As soon as you register, we'll send you a link.
Okay.
As soon as you register, we'll send the link. You understand? Go to Strather Academy and register. And one other thing, too. If you go there, there's also this little $50 package we did for Black Friday. It's still up there. I'm going to keep it up there, I believe. Yeah, because it's a great Christmas present. So we said, look, get started for $50. For $50, we give you a video, 50 ways, 50 tools and tactics, 50. For $50 now, I'm going to tell you 50 ways to make a million. This is worth $5,000 by itself. Now think about that. Because when I'm telling you, people don't know that. They say, damn, really? I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you my new book that's on Amazon, Which Way is Detroit? It shows you every single zip code where you should invest and where you should not invest. And they tell you the 10 biggest mistakes you can make investing in Detroit, because some people have lost terribly. And we don't want people to invest here and lose. And they we don't want it. We want that to happen. So you get the video of the 50 tools and tactics. You get my book, and then you get a interactive sheet with all the links involved. And then you get a 3.5-hour seminar, $50. That's pretty cool.
Going to teach you how to buy a building. I'm just going back to this in the next 12 months with no money.
Nobody. Now look, this $50 deal. Now let me get this here. It's really to get you going and get you excited. But if somebody got enough skill set, they can take the 50 and roll with it. Honestly, I mean, especially if they're experienced in the real estate. But if they're not experienced, I don't want them trying that. Now, if you're a real estate broker and you say, "Hey, I got this, buddy. I never thought about that." See, if you're already in the business and I give you an idea, you say, "Oh God, that's great." All day long, that's all they're going to be doing. And they can probably run with it. But somebody that's smart would say, "I'm going to keep you around, Strather. I'll pay the $2,500 because the $2,500 they pay is going to be used in the deal. It's used towards you buying the deal too."
Oh, it is. So now it's 25 minus $50 or whatever, $24.50. Oh my gosh. So, and I'm thinking that if somebody's serious about doing this and putting in the work, you're going to find $2,500. $2,500 it's not like 1938 $2,500 when a loaf of bread is 25 cents and this is 2025 $2,500, which is you go stand on the corner for. I'm not telling people to do that, but if you go stand on the corner for about 3 days, you go figure out how to get $2,500.
Yeah,
right.
This is really super, man.
So what is my time commitment? So I'm doing Thursdays. Now I'm in the class. I started February 7th. Am I meeting every week? And then you're telling me what to do. I go do it.
We're going to meet 20 times during the year. It's actually not going to be 50 times. It's going to be 20 because many of them, we join them together, because they're all the same thing. Like we say, LOIs. There's 5 different ways to do LOIs: a beard LOI, a broker LOI, a buyer LOI. There's a bargain gift sale under LOI. So there's different LOIs. And one day we just may take and do the LOIs, and then we have assignment of membership interest, of a limited partnership interest, or various interests in the forms you need to lay it out to acquire. Because under those assignments, we step in and buy a partial percent, so we don't uncap taxes. Or we may say, look, form a 501c3 and buy it with a charitable purpose, and there's no taxes. But be careful, because you can joint venture with your 501c3 could get you in trouble unless you do it right. Yeah. So this is really, really super, Brian.
Oh, this is amazing. So one of the things I just want folks that are watching to understand is you're not buying a condemned building so it could just sit there as a condemned building and you won't make any money at it. You say, "Oh, I've got this building that doesn't make any money." You're actually going to have at the end of the year a building that is creating income for you and your family after you get it. And you may teach us how to sell it. You may teach us how to do something, but it's going to be like an income producing property that gets you, like you said, be rich before you're rich. It's an income producing property that allow you to do whatever God put you on this planet to do. But now you've learned it, so go duplicate it, right? Okay. Now you teach other people how to do it again, do it again. And that's how you, like you said, generational wealth is what you're trying to produce. Not, okay, let me go show 6 people how to do it and 6 people are wealthy. You're saying, oh my gosh, Herb, this is awesome.
Well, this is very, very great. Now, I got to meet some of my students at a place around the corner, not too far. I told them after class, listen, this is so good. Listen, Brian, I want to be able to help your constituencies. And I like a deal where they bring deals and ask me all the questions. Tell them to bring the deal. Before they go do the deal, now they know what they fix to do. Put the money, before you do your deal, bring it to me. In other words, before you do it, bring it to me and see how I would do it. And I'll do it free on your show. And you can line it up and say, all right, everybody, bring your deals.
Oh, I love it.
Everybody. And we'll pick 2 deals.
Okay.
And I'll lay out with the forms and everything. But if the 2 deals we pick, I'm going to want to know. I mean, I don't need a great advance. I just want to get the forms and the case studies ready.
Absolutely.
Thanks a million.
Hey, thank you for being on today. Thank you for sharing this with us. You people go to Strather, Strather.com.
Strather Academy.
StratherAcademy.com. Sign
Yeah.
up, figure it out. Go on to free. You'll get signed up for free Thursdays, to see exactly what he's showing you. But this is an opportunity that you don't want to pass up. And so thank you for sharing. Can't wait to talk to you on the next one. We're going to get some case, for our show. This is going to be fun. Thank you, Herb. Go deal with your students, and we will talk to you guys on the next one. Have a great night.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Thank you a million.